dig, we took our D and now we're changing it to B. The bat hits the ball. The bat hits the ball.
Get up. Look. Get up.
Definitely always be good.
Big. The bat hits the ball.
Oh yeah?
Good. Can you write big?
Okay. So in this example, that error correction was toward the end of the video, and it was focused on letter formation, not on phonemic awareness. I meant to remind you or kind of give you a heads up before we watched it, but that was the error correction, was for the writing, the encoding of that sound. So in this example, the teacher was using a marker board and the error correction was done on the marker board. The teacher knows this student and she knows that he's really been struggling with those D and B reversals. So she followed the steps that you see on the slide to correct that error using a just enough prompt. She stopped, she repeated the cue, and that was big. The bat hits the ball. She gave him that just enough prompt. In this example, it was just her gesturing to the model on her board, and that was enough. What you don't see in the video is that she did go on to reinforce the student, and if it hadn't worked, she could have done the same thing. She would have stopped, she would have repeated the cue and prompted just enough. The next prompt would be a model, so she could have demonstrated how to form that letter on her board while the student watched her. And that reinforcement is so important. This little picture you can see at the bottom of the screen under the video is a picture of the sticker chart that this teacher uses in her classroom. So each one of her students has this little sticker chart that's Charlie Brown themed that matches her classroom. It's laminated, they put the stickers on, and then they can just take them off and reuse it over and over again. And that works really well in this classroom for these students. That might look different in your classroom. You might be using a token board or another reinforcement system. Anything that Gretchen was mentioning might be something that you're using in your classroom. Just make sure that you're reinforcing the correct answers because we want to see more of those, right? So we're going to reinforce the things we want to see more of. Just pausing here and thinking a little bit about error correction. If this was a Heggerty lesson where the students are orally responding, it might look a little different, but you can still do a whole group error correction. Maybe you hear one or two students getting the sounds wrong or they're responding incorrectly. So you can stop, error correct as a whole group, have everyone practice the correct answer, reinforce that, and then move on. That isn't going to hurt anyone in the group, even the students who were getting it right. The extra practice isn't going to hurt. And it might really help those students who were making the error and keep them from practicing that mistake, which will make it harder to correct in the future. Just a quick example that I thought of when I was going through this slide was just, have you ever sung the word in a song wrong? Maybe sometimes for years before someone was like, wait a minute, what are you saying? And corrected you. If someone had corrected you the first or second time you'd done it, it'd probably be pretty easy to correct. You probably wouldn't even remember it. But if you've been doing it wrong for years and someone stops and corrects you, it's like, whoa, how long have I been doing that? And how hard is it to correct? I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time correcting those things that I've practiced over and over and over again. And so thinking about some of our students and those characteristics of a student like Mila that Rebecca was telling us about, she's going to have a really hard time correcting errors that she's practiced wrong, even just a few times. So that's where an error correction procedure really comes in.